Good morning, it's Brian here. It's Tuesday morning. It is another phenomenal episode of The Art of Startup War. Why is it phenomenal? Why is it important? Because these are companies that we invest in. So these are not founders that we're speaking to about a glorious future or a tough past or about how you broke through the most difficult times of your life. These are folks that we actually put money into. And I'm going to talk to you about why we put money into them. I'm going to talk to them about what they're building. And you're going to start to understand. If you're an entrepreneur, you will start to get great tips on how to grow your business. But most of the folks listening here are investors. So you will get to understand more about a company than you're ever going to see in a pitch deck or anywhere else from the mouth of babes, or in this case, from an investor. So today I got Tomas over at ContentMap. I love what this company does. Now I'm going to tell you like a bunch of reasons why, but I'm just going to start with one that I know every single person listening or watching this shares with me as a massive frustration. We have so many files and so many things accumulated online over the years. Sometimes we have it on our laptops, maybe like an old birth certificate, or it might be a financial detail that we keep, or it might be an old patent that we have somewhere. Sometimes it's in our server. Sometimes it's in the cloud, one of the many apps that we use to transfer data, store data, keep data, or do what the heck we do with data, because there's so much data around right now. And what's the one thing that frustrates us? Most of the time, we cannot find what we were looking for because the search sucks. And when I say sucks, it's put in a linear way. We as humans were not taught to search for things anywhere, not in the wild, not in our homes, based on having a line of code that we're supposed to go through to find the right item. So it hasn't worked for years, but we've just made do with what we have. ContentMap came in and said there is a better way. And that better way is to be able to find your data based on the same way that you store things in the real world. Think about it as mind mapping. It is truly simple and genius at the same time what Tomas has put together. So without me talking about this anymore, which probably gets a bit boring, I'm going to bring Tomas in and he's going to tell us all about ContentMap, and we are going to find out about him. We're going to find out about his past. We're going to find out about his future, and we're going to find out about where ContentMap is going to be going. Tomas, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Brian. Thanks.
And thanks for taking my money. I appreciate you, because it means now I'm going to benefit from your upside.
Yeah, you are. Absolutely you are.
So tell us all about the genesis of ContentMap, like, because it seems such a simple problem, but also a very complicated problem. Now, you're Swedish, so I know human-centric design is like a normal thing for Swedes. But there must have been a moment where you realized there was a huge problem in the world that needed to be fixed.
Yes. We came up with the idea on ContentMap because we realized that the human brain is hardwired to understand pictures. And in all the CEOs that I met, they always had world maps on the walls, and this is a place where you can find information really easy. And they never found stuff in the servers or in the mailboxes. So I got the idea about changing the content of the computers, the servers, into maps.
Wonderful. And then, so getting the idea is one thing, because I think as you explain it the way you are right now, it makes sense to everybody. Everybody's thinking, okay, if I look at a big map of the world, yeah, I know where Spain is, I know where Portugal is, I know where the US is, I know where China is. But if somebody gave us a list of all of those countries, it's overwhelming. We don't know where to start. So all you've done is you've taken something which is absolutely natural for us, and you've applied it to the search of something that was put together in a really unnatural way. It's truly brilliant. So one thing is taking the idea, but how did you then turn that into a product that customers started to love?
We started to sell the first product, and we got enormously amount of feedback almost immediately. Then it's very easy to make follow-up inventions on the first good idea. And the obvious thing was to enrich the map with search hits. With results from an indexed search engine to paint out on the map where the search hits are located. Secondly, our customers asked us, can we please use this interface to move things around, to organize it? So we designed a really simple drag and drop, and we did it over borders. So you can drag any information between any storage volume, and it doesn't matter what kind of format it is.
Brilliant. So first of all, you got it to market. But again, I just want to stick with that. Like, it must have been really hard to take something which is a general concept of a massive problem that exists and a general concept of what the idea looks like. Like, how did you bring that? How did you create a product which was beautiful and streamlined and had the right user experience that your customers could even get to the stage of starting to give you suggestions of where it goes?
It was insanely fun. It's really, really great to get feedback from paying customers saying that they love the stuff and they give you the ideas about the next step. It's extremely nice fuel to have. I mean, they fuel you up when you get customer feedbacks and you can see that they really love what you're doing. It gives you energy more than it takes. It's really very, very nice.
I love those. And
that's basically how we did most of the inventions. We listened to our customers and we got ideas, and they were really natural ideas. Everything felt very naturally.
And what were the main things the customers were saying? So they wanted the drag and drop because customers started to realize that I'm guessing, like me, most people started by thinking, this will be very useful. This will be nice for me to search. It will feel better. And then I imagine they suddenly started to find things that were impossible to find before. Was that the biggest aha for customers, or was it something else?
Oh, yes, that always happens. It's an enormous data discovery when you apply content maps. Sometimes it's almost like a fight in the conference room between the CEO and the CIO when they see what the storage volumes really looks like, because you can see it from above, and it gives you a helicopter perspective of everything compared to the tunnel view you have with regular systems. So you immediately got the urge to improve things and to make it more organized. So that's very, very, very a very grateful moment for us.
And I want to go a layer deeper if we can, Thomas, because I think a lot of people listening now and watching you will say, oh, this is very smart. Like, built in new search algorithm. It's nice. It's a prettier way to search. It helps you find documents. But this goes way deeper than this. And talk a little bit about how the AI, how the artificial intelligence and the machine learning that you're built into it actually allows you to identify items which would otherwise be extremely difficult to find. It's not just about the aesthetically pleasing way to find information. It's about actually getting technology to help us have a better life rather than the other way around.
Yeah. To the way we put all the information locally and we put it with our customers, it also improves search a lot. And it's amazing that the big companies hasn't really realized this, that if you have too big data, it will kill the deep learning. You will not see the pattern of unprecise taxonomy that will drown in big data. We all spell things a little bit differently, and we have some different preferences on which words to use, and they will drown if you have too much information. In ContentMap, we keep all the information locally, not only the metadata, but also the actual learning, and that are applied for the specific amount of data that you are working with or the company is working with. So it learns how the company's information mass looks like, what we're looking for when we search for the word patent, and it gives you the correct information. We make 90% less mistakes than other search engines, and we find much more relevant hits than a regular search engine can do. So that's very, very nice.
Yeah, and very much. And so this search engine using the artificial intelligence, because I remember looking for patents through your platform, and it found patents that were not even called patents. that
Yeah.
didn't even have, and they found patents with a PDF document, which otherwise you would not be able to see inside the PDF document. I mean, how difficult was it to build the technology? I mean, I'm imagining I could find photos of my kids when and as the technology gets stronger and stronger and stronger, I'll be able to put in, find me photographs of Liam when he was 3 years old, and it will be able to go in there and literally go in deep as to be able to look at it. I mean, that's the road you're on, right? It's to be able to find
Right.
any piece of information, anywhere, anytime, with the minimum of hassle in the most aesthetic and beautiful way.
Yeah. It learns from the way the different coworkers work with the information. And you can very easily deploy metadata to files. If you don't do this, the search engine by itself will learn by association how you work with the information. So that, for example, you search for patent and you always open a file called invention. Then it will understand that this file is associated with patent. For
Brilliant.
example, a very, very simple example.
Yeah, so brilliant. So as I said, it uses the technology as an assist to do the things that we do in our daily lives, because all of us have got too much data around. Now, we've put you out with investors, and you've had a phenomenal response from investors that we put you through to. And I do want to get to the future and where you're going to take ContentMap. But before I do, I want to kind of take you through the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is, we start off with this great endeavor. We start with this idea. We have our, our sword with us, and we're going off on this journey to conquer the world. But as we go on the journey, especially at the beginning of the journey, before we've gathered our army together, we're vulnerable. And during those periods of vulnerability, we have advisors, mentors, partners, people, investors, people around us who let us down. And when they let us down, they push us back. So like in any great movie, we go through that period, and then the product gets built, and then we come out the other side and we're strong. So before I get to where the product is going to go in the future, what the opportunities are for investors, how we're going to build this and where it's going to go, let's start off at the beginning. And investors like this part of it because they get to measure your resilience based on what you've gone through. So share with us a little bit about that early journey and some of the tough things that you went through that forged you into what you are today.
Well, the first part was that I really had a big problem in a project I was managing that I needed solved. Then the solution was viable for many of the industries. So at one point I made the decision to develop the solution and sell to other people, basically, and not just use it in my own work. So it really truly comes from a need we had for finding information for collaboration. And it was a very difficult thing to do that. I didn't really set up to I want to start a startup company or anything like that. I wanted to do this solution. I saw the problem, and I know I could fix it, and I could do it better. And the more I learned about the problem, the more intrigued I got about making the solution. I had to start over many times, and I had to do at least 3 main pivots in the journey towards where we are today. Originally, I started with just competences and knowledge to manage knowledge within this organization so that we could find the right resources for development over company borders. That was a completely different animal from what we have today, which is a much more general SaaS solution for software. Then digitalization has come, and then a pandemic situation, and the remote work situation really played in our hands, because, well, we thought that step towards remote work would take 10 years. It took like 4 weeks. It went really, really fast. Wasn't really prepared for it, but it's really good that it happened. So it is a perfect tool for that. So then we really put in second gear. We moved the company to US. It's now a Delaware-based C Corp. Before that, I was working in Sweden, and it went really well here.
And then, so a lot of those challenges that you're talking about are very much normal challenges that get faced with any entrepreneur. But I'm
Yeah,
guessing for you, it was magnified because you're trying to take something which is fundamentally a flawed way of searching for any information.
yeah,
And you're trying to create a human centric, perfect equation for how somebody else is going to be able to find information, even though all humans are different. So to do that, and you mentioned it right at the beginning, is the greatest gift you were given was the feedback from the customers telling you what they loved and what they didn't love. And I'm sure
yeah,
that drove into the pivots a lot about how you built the product. And I actually think of them more as evolutions than pivots, because you know the whole principle is supposed to be you execute, you learn, you adapt, and then you execute again, right? So that period of learning and adapting for you was so important, because the first part of the artificial intelligence, the first part of the machine learning was you and
yeah,
your team listening to what the customer said.
yeah, correct. And sometimes to make an innovations can go rather fast, inventions can take longer time. Sometimes when you do an invention, you don't really see the beast. You don't see what you have. You just see the shape of it. It's like having a ghost in the room, and you walk around it and you see almost what it is. But if it hasn't been painted before, it is very, very difficult to see exactly what you have. You could measure it and you can see that, okay, they really love that. They love this, but what is it? How can you communicate it? How can you make a product out of it? How can you make a business out of it? That's not really obvious immediately. So you have to walk around this and be super resilient. Never, ever give up. It's just, I do believe that timing is also, it's also a thing about not giving up. If you give up, the game is over. So that's one way of having timing. It's just never give up.
I
Be
actually
really
prefer what
focused.
you just said before, that timing is always, I always mention it, right? But even I get a little bit bored of myself, even though I know it's totally true. But I really like what you said before that, which is that innovation is quick, invention can be a little bit slower, because you have to imagine what it looks like before you paint it. You don't have the outline to start from. It's very brilliant. And sometimes people get into too much of a rush to go down a lean startup road and just build something very quickly and get it out. And they confuse innovation with invention. So I love the fact that you can distinguish between the two and say, no, understand what we are doing is a paradigm shift here. We are bringing an entirely new model to market, which will
Yeah,
require users to slightly change their behaviors for a better outcome. But
yeah,
if we do that, we have to make sure that the outcome is truly phenomenal. So here's my next question. Where are you in relation to having that perfect? What percentage are you out of 100 of having the perfect search mechanism for everybody to be able to find anything they need ever on their systems? It's a tough one, right?
we have a rather long roadmap. It's at least 24 months from today. The product we have today is really doing the job. It finds information more than 3.5 times faster than any other search engine, and it's super easy to manage information. But then it's, I mean, things are going back and forth a lot. A couple of years ago, when you had a SaaS model, it was super imperative that it was based on AWS or Azure. You have to have it online, and you have to have a back-end, front-end solution. These things change rather quickly. Now, for the last 6 months, it's kind of changing back. A lot of companies doesn't want to have all the information in Amazon Cloud. They want to have it on premise. So you have to be a little bit open, and you have to be able to see around the corners a little bit before you round the corner yourself. You have to see things that are not really visible.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
And
And look, it's tremendously,
it's super interesting, really.
And you're still on that journey. So
Yeah.
right now you have version 1, which is phenomenal. Customers love it's out in the market, and you're aggressively pushing it out there like crazy. And then version 2 is then going to come out hardcore next year. But a lot of what you're going to get from version 1 is going to help you build version 2 and continue to make it better.
Absolutely.
And so this is not about a static solution that's going to give. It's about a continually evolving solution that will just be a better search experience for everybody. So let's talk a little bit about the future, Thomas. Let's talk a little bit about what annual recurring revenue or what monthly recurring revenue that you're going to get and how that's going to grow over this year. Let's talk about the types of customers that are going to use you. Let's talk about the amount of money that you're going to raise to actually have this big launch over in the US that you've planned so carefully.
We are absolutely sure that we will scale the massive bulk of revenues. We will scale within business to business together with content services to get the high ranking of the software. Right now, we are going to market on outreach campaigns to knowledge workers generally, and that's part of a marketing campaign to get many users real fast. At the same time as we're doing business-to-business sales. But the best way of scaling revenues is within larger companies, to have them absolutely happy. And so far, we had a lot of companies contacting us that are in need of the solution. The easiest way for us to go to market is on when we have a sense of urgency, when we have a clear, they would need this product yesterday. And one of the areas is cybersecurity and find sensitive data in servers. That's something that they should have cleaned out yesterday. Attacks can come any minute, really. And it's they need to buy it now. So that's one area that's very, very thankful for us to sell the product.
That would be huge, Thomas, because those people are continually... The thing about cybersecurity is most folks who don't know cybersecurity, just imagine that this is a little bit like Star Trek, right? And you have a little force field built around your ship and nobody breaks through the force field because, you know, Zulu and Spock have got you covered. But in reality, you have an awful lot of data that's not required there and data that's in places that they don't even know about. So you have a force field around a whole ship, but you don't want to. You want to be protecting the things that are really important. So your search algorithm allows for people to be able to make sure that they get rid of the stuff they don't need and they can keep the things they do. I also see huge applications within CRM systems whereby they can actually start to reimagine how people can find information, because all of us hate our CRM. I don't care who you use as a CRM system, you hate it. You hate using it, you hate finding information on it, you hate managing it, you hate doing everything on it. So anything we can do to make that experience better is extremely good. And then how much money are you going to raise, Thomas, over the next year or so? How much are you going to raise this year? And then how do you see that driving your revenue? I think at the end of this year, you should be on about $100,000 a month in recurring revenue. Yeah. But then after you raise, then how much are you going to be raising next year and where will that take you?
Well, we're aiming for raising $1 million at $4.5 million valuation.
Very reasonable.
Kind of right now. And we're aiming to start with round A within 12 months from today.
Okay, fantastic. So I'd like, if you can, you're now speaking to everybody in the last minute or so. You're going to share with them your email address. You're going to share with them the website so they can find you. But I want you to talk to everybody listening, not as investors, because from an investment perspective, everybody gets it. If you have truly nailed the future of how search is done, which is patent-backed, which it is, for companies and organizations everywhere in the world, which will then drip feed down to mid-sized organizations and then will drip feed down to consumers, then you are a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, that is a fait accompli. Every investor knows that. For them to understand how close you are to what we believe that you have and to what you say that you have, they need to go in and they need to look under the kimono. They need to go in and check every single thing that you have there and just make sure that they're comfortable with it. But that's fine. That comes next. That's why you're giving them their contact details. Now I want you to speak to organizations, angels and investors with regards to their founders as to why they should use your platform today, and then share your contact details, and then that's a wrap.
Oh yeah. Almost all people that we show the platform for, they just say that they regret they didn't have this 15 years ago. And I get this feedback on a daily basis. There is almost no one that we show ContentMap for that doesn't regret they had it a long time ago. It makes you finding information so easy and managing information enormously easy. Basically, everybody really needs this. It is the way to find your information, not to drown in it, and to get organized. Basically, there is almost no one that doesn't need this ContentMap, and they need it yesterday. Obviously, it's really good also to eliminate cyber threats, and our take on that is to find where the sensitive data resides and secure it from that end, instead of just putting another layer of security on top of existing systems. It's better to go to the root of the problem and fix it. It's much more sustainable.
Fantastic. I love it, Thomas. And how can people contact you?
Contact me. They can do by mail to Thomas without H at contentmap.se. We still use a Swedish .se. So it's Thomas without H at contentmap.se. And that's also the address for our website.
Wonderful. And as always, please feel free to reach out to me. We have invested in Thomas. We have invested in ContentMap. We are extremely pleased at where this company is going in the future and what Thomas has achieved, even during the period while he's been here in the accelerator. And I've got high hopes going forward. Thomas, fantastic to have you as part of our Dojo community. I'm really looking forward to where we go in the future. Just keep up the phenomenal work.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks a lot.
And that's a wrap.